We hear about smart cities all the time. This amazing future where technology makes everything seamless, efficient, and connected. But as we're building this incredible high-tech world, we've got to stop and ask a really important question. Yeah, what if in our race to create these brilliant, intelligent cities, we're actually leaving a whole bunch of people behind on the digital curb? It's a question that gets right to the heart of what a city should even be. And look, the stakes here are incredibly high. The UN is projecting that by 2050, a full two-thirds of the entire world's population is going to be living in cities. That's 66%. So the choices we make right now about how to build our cities are going to affect almost everyone on the planet. So what do we even mean by a smart city? Well, at its core, it's a community that uses all this cool, intelligent tech, sensors everywhere, big data, connected devices, all with one big goal, making life better for the people who live there. It honestly sounds like a perfect utopia, right?
Well, let's pull back the curtain a little bit. Let's go beyond that shiny promise and take a hard look at the reality for a huge part of our population, a group that often finds this new tech can build as many walls as it tears down.
Get this. According to the World Health Organization, over 15.5% of people over the age of 15 live with a disability. That's not a small number. We're talking about nearly 800 million people around the world who navigate and experience their environment in a different way. And that leads us to this really critical question. All these so-called smart cities we're so excited about, are we actually building them with these 800 million people in mind? Or is all this fancy technology just creating a whole new layer of barriers that nobody can see? This quote from the research really just hits the nail on the head. It's a huge danger. If we don't intentionally and actively include people with disabilities when we're designing this stuff, we're not just failing to help, we're actually making things worse, deepening the inequalities that are already there. And here's the irony, right? These are the exact problems that smart cities are supposed to solve. But for millions, these are just everyday realities. I mean, what good is a smart transit app if the bus itself doesn't have a ramp? The potential is absolutely there, but a lot of the time, the follow-through just isn't. Okay, so why? Why does this huge gap between the promise and the reality exist? Well, as it turns out, it's not really about the tech itself. It's about the entire philosophy behind how we're building these cities. And there are basically three different ways of thinking about it. So first, you've got the technocentric approach. This one is all about the gadgets, the data, the concrete and steel, what you might call the hard infrastructure. Then there's the humanist view, which flips it and focuses on the people, their skills, the soft infrastructure. And finally, there's the collaborative way, which tries to get everyone to work together. And well, here's the problem. The research is pretty clear that for way too long, that first approach, the technocentric one, has been running the show. We've been so obsessed with the shiny new tech that we've kind of forgotten to ask the most basic question. How does this actually help the real, living people who are supposed to use it? So, how do we fix this? How do we start building cities that aren't just smart, but are also wise? Thankfully, the research points to a really powerful framework that gives us a path forward. It's called the quadruple helix model. The quadruple helix model sounds complicated, but it's not. Think of it like a four-legged stool. For a long time, people only talked about a triple helix, the university, industry, and government working together. But this new model adds a fourth, absolutely crucial leg, the citizens. And just like with a stool, if you're missing that fourth leg, the whole thing is going to be wobbly and unstable. So these are the four key players who have to be in the room together. You've got the citizens, and especially those with the lived experience of a disability. Then industry, the tech companies. Government, the policymakers. And the university, the researchers. You need all four, and if one is missing, it just doesn't work. And you can see this is a problem that cuts across different fields. Research is coming from urban planning, from IT, from rehabilitation science. But this chart also shows a gap. We need more research that's socio-technical, basically work that connects the dots between the technology itself and the real-world social needs of the people who will be using it. Okay, so now that we have this model, we can start putting together a real plan, a roadmap. And that journey starts with each of these key players asking some really specific and really important questions. This table really lays it all out. For citizens, we need to stop treating people with disabilities as just test subjects and start treating them as co-designers. For industry, we have to tackle things like algorithmic bias. What happens when a navigation app only recommends routes with stairs? For government, it means shifting policies from being tech first to being people first. And for universities, it means teaching the next generation that building a city isn't just an engineering problem. It's a deeply human one.
At the end of the day, here's the big takeaway. Success isn't about how many sensors you have or how fast your Wi-Fi is. The real goal is to create what's called a socio-technical city, a place where technology and society are woven together, moving forward hand in hand to make life better for everyone.
So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. The technology, it's getting smarter every single day. There's no doubt about that. But the real question is, are we as people getting any wiser about how we use it to build cities that aren't just intelligent, but are also inclusive, fair, and truly human?